Okay, I'm here with one of my favorite people in the world to talk to, Daniel Bernard Roumain, violinist, composer, artist, entrepreneur, and Flynn Center, artist in residence for the 2019-20 season, also with UVM's Lane Series in the DSO. Daniel, so great to see you, as always.
Good to see you, my friend.
We've been hanging out together a lot this year, and you're actually the artist in residence for another 4 or 5 days. We were going to have the world premiere of your new piece in a few days with the DSO, where we were kind of building towards this giant artistic release of taking everything you'd learned in your time in Vermont and kind of putting it through the orchestra and giving it back. I'm just curious what you might say we're missing by not hearing it this weekend.
Oh, well, first of all, it's so great to be here with you. I think we would have been missing the Vermont Symphony Orchestra and a big orchestra, a full orchestra, what we call a large symphonic experience. You would have seen the great conductor Sarah Ionides. Thank you. Who's a great conductor, great musician, great humanitarian. Engaged in a series of town hall cadenzas. This is something I kind of created so that anyone from the audience could say anything that they like for 30 seconds to 1 minute, with the orchestra backing them up. I'm sure you would have seen some great singers, some great musicians, some great instruments from countries other than the United States of America. Perhaps a little black girl, 9 years old, saying really important things for all of us, with the orchestra behind her in accompaniment and solidarity.
Man, I want to see that.
Yeah, Riots and Prayers, right. So we'll get there. But the name of the piece is Riots and Prayers. It's done. It's a little unusual for me to have a piece just kind of sitting around, and I say that because I'm privileged in that sense. But this piece is done, and the parts and the score are literally printed and bound and ready to go, sitting in a box, actually, in that room right over there. Wow. In a box, ready to go. Yeah.
Well, you wrote it during your residency here, right? And the whole idea was that it would be informed by the residents. Well, what can you tell us about how your time in Vermont helped form this piece?
Oh, my time in Vermont was, well, it's still going on, in my memory.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're always welcome, man. Always.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it feels like home. It felt like home. I first performed in Vermont, if my memory serves me correctly, as a part of the Vermont Youth Symphony, and I think they actually commissioned the full orchestra version of Voodoo Violin Concerto.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think there's video of it somewhere online. I think it was Troy Peterson, maybe. Really great musician. I think he's down in Texas now. But I think it was my first visit to Burlington, Vermont, and then there were subsequent visits in the Flynn space and, of course, on the main stage. And, this residency was kind of born out of that. And working with the Vermont Symphony and, of course, the Flynn and the Lane Series at the University of Vermont, all these kind of component parts came together to form a kind of singular idea and stay and time. And it was just that, working in schools, working in places of rehabilitation of different kinds, and sometimes just playing for 1 or 2 people on the street, 3 o'clock in the morning, in front of City Hall in the rain with you.
Well, that's right. I was there.
You were there.
We're talking about the 24-hour piece you did. It was one of I think it's one of my favorite things I've ever been a part of. It's amazing what being up for 24 hours, committing yourself like that'll do. I didn't even play, but it was like an emotional roller coaster for me. I was up and I was down. I was all over the place. I cannot imagine what you went through that night. What are your kind of recollections and lessons from that experience?
Yeah, 24-hour protest song was an idea that kind of an audacious idea of my view of protesting as a composer, as a violinist, as an activist and social entrepreneur, and an artist as an activist. And I wanted to make a statement I wanted to be a test of not only endurance but ideas, and I wanted to be collaborative. You know, in my mind, I would set up shop and have all my gear out there, and make it a place where people could hear something or see something or potentially be inspired, rally and cry towards. Well, it was very specifically pointed towards the current administration and in protest of their policies, but it became something much more. You know, I started at noon, and by 12:30, there were about 100 elementary school children on the steps of Burlington's City Hall, singing songs of protest. You know, Dylan, some of their own invention, if I remember correctly, led by a very important and wonderful and real and welcoming teacher who would play guitar and sing along with them. And, you know, it was in that moment that I realized, wow, this is going to be something really special. And there was a lot of fear. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it. I almost didn't. I almost bailed out several times, as you know.
Yeah.
Trips to the bathroom.
I get it. I made it through myself.
That's right. But it turned out to be an experience, one I'll never forget, one that really required a lot of institutional courage and capital of all sorts. So many staff members were right there with us at all hours of the morning. You would see students waking up, I think, dragging their roommates along to read poetry or play guitar or sing or just sit. You know, there was one woman, I think she didn't really do anything other than sit and listen. And I remember her, and she was so integral and such a part of the piece. You know, to think of that now, right? Her ability to be held captive with us and to just breathe. That was enough. That was more than enough.
I thought it was really fascinating to see the life. It's the corner of Church and Main in Burlington. So I think it's the busiest intersection in Vermont, right?
Yeah.
That's our beating urban heart, such as it is, right? And but just to watch the life that corner has and the different populations that take it over at different times of the day and night. You know, it's right there on the bar scene, so we got to see that crazy, 1 to 2:30. College student bar let out. That is a whole different world. And then from
expression.
And then from 2:30 to dawn, it's a few people, but I think mostly people that are living on the street that were active in taking part and performing with you. Even it was really quite amazing. And then you start about 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. You see the workaday population come in. It was really fascinating.
It was fascinating to see this ecosystem unfold. Some of it some of it was unknown. And I agree with you. You know, these homeless humans were so important to have a conversation with, human to human, person to person, to have that kind of contact. And all of this, of course, being filtered by where we are right now with the current pandemic and coronavirus, and that level of human contact. It was very cold. It got real cold.
It did.
The woods.
It was October in Vermont.
Yeah. What were we thinking?
Well, it wasn't cold. Like if you just stepped out into it for a few minutes, you go, "This isn't that cold."
Not bad at all.
But when you're out there living in it, like as we did for one night, it was
one night.
By 4 a.m, I was chilled to the bone.
Yes. And, the wood suffers.
It took me hours to get warm.
Yeah, but it's scaled suffering because that tonight that's going to be the reality for some of those same humans, and I think that was also. For me, all I could think about at the worst of it was a hot shower and a warm bed. At the worst of it. And, went through everything and incredible collaborations, kind of endless music making, endless of all sorts and kind. All of it captured. We had an online audience, everyone from my son to friends I hadn't talked to in years who had tuned in, But at the worst of it, I wanted to be warm and to feel secure and to be in that bed. And when Megan, who works at the Flynn, drove me back to the hotel, which was only a few blocks away, but I was completely, exhausted, having pretty much stood the whole time in a lot of ways. I got that hot shower. I could see the warm bed. But I gotta tell you, in that shower, I felt this sense of urgency. I wanted to go right back. I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't satisfied. and I got a sense of it wasn't just guilt, but it was a sense of I wasn't comfortable. I was no longer comfortable in that place.
A lot of artists I've been talking to during this lockdown, this quarantine time, are having trouble creating. Like intellectually, they all know this is the moment. I've been saying that I wanted my whole life, where I'm going to be near my studio, unlimited time, and I'll be able to create. But with the exception of Crystal Brown, your old colleague from Bill T. Jones days.
That's right. Brilliant. The brilliant Crystal Brown.
The brilliant. Oh my gosh, yes, the brilliant Crystal Brown. Everybody else is sort of like saying that they're not in a moment of creation. They're in a moment of like breathing and stepping back, and they don't feel that push to create. I was wondering, and that surprised me, and I was wondering if you had felt that at all, or where you were on that spectrum.
Well, I can say to you that succinctly, it's been very hard for me to create alone. Yeah, to be very specific. For me, it used to be, I have more ideas than a lifetime to put them out. It's a faucet that's never ending. So I've got ideas. I have had ideas for compositions and music and pieces during this conversation. What I say to you is, I'll be like a lot of people. I'll be alone, and that's the paralysis where I just don't. I'm so tired all the time, and I'm just so tired of being here, and I'm so tired of being isolated and self-sheltered and sheltering in this place. It's not that I'm tired of sheltering in place. I'm tired of sheltering in this place and not having the familiarity of any kind of human connection. I mean, when I go outside and I jog or I run or I walk and I just pass someone, it's magical. Mm-hmm. So for me, being creative alone, day after day, hour after hour, week after week now, that has kind of given me a sense of paralysis. But here's the thing, let's put now, so that's the problem, here's the cure. Let's think about the cure.
All right.
A lot of people say that in Zoom you can't do things together. This is a big musicians talk and maybe dancers talk. Okay, but what I say is it's all about, yes, there's a time delay, but there's opportunity. Wherever there's a problem, instead of saying problem, let's use the word opportunity. That's what we're going to do. Okay? Hey, I have a problem. No, it's an opportunity. So, Steve, here's an opportunity for you and I to collaborate.
All right.
Yes. Now, I know that, Zoom works in a certain way where you can only have one sound at a time. So, one thing that I learned early on was this notion of call and response. Woo! Hard for me to play in the morning, Steve. Steve, I've known you for years.
All right.
And I know you're a great musician, ladies and gentlemen. Steve is a great musician. But this is going to be the first time we collaborate. So how about this? So I'll play, and you can say whatever you want. Maybe it's a book. Maybe you want to Google search something. Maybe you just want to say what you're feeling, responding to the sound, which is fine. But I'll go, and then you'll go. And I'm kind of doing it now. And by me, I mean the violin might say something like,
oh, and then I speak.
and then you would speak. So here we go.
Even a beautiful spring day like today seems freighted with problems. Seeking joy and struggling with it. I love collaborating with my friend Daniel. I could probably do this more easily if I had my guitar. Words are difficult.
Ooh. Yeah, man.
Words are difficult. That's the name of it.
That was hot. Words are difficult. Oh, I love it.